It's garbage.
I don't know. It's somewhere.
It happens every couple. Yes, it's on Monday. Okay, I think we should.
I think we're on.
Yeah, but are you unmuted?
Yeah, I'm mute. I'm recording. Everything's good. Shakayach Paretz. New seminar advice.
My problem is
Let's start. Reish Samach
I think our
Tes.
man of floor is not really.
Let's start with Samach Tes.
Wow.
Maybe what we did a couple years ago,
I think you're right.
but it's good to do.
So we could do
No,
something
good
else.
for
I
you.
don't mind. Last
I
week.
remember Gottlieb saying when he was a kid, he was the one that made a kid.
That's right. You're right.
Good 3 years. Done with it 3 years.
You're right. We did do this some.
But it's good to do Chazor.
We're chazing a lot of things every few years.
Yes.
Shaila is if we should go back a little bit and start already earlier from which we also I think did once to start from that the davening of Ma'id of Erev Shabbos and the Te'usim and Tefillah like 2 semanim before. Should we just stick to Reish Samach Tes? We could start from Reish Samach Zayin or Reish Samach Tes.
We go away some of this.
Reish Samach Tes. Okay.
Page Resh Chav Gimel.
Simin Reish Samach Tes Din HaKiddush Beis HaKnesses Aboy Dalat Ifim. Aleph. Chachamim Harishonim.
Chav Gimel.
Page Reish Chav Gimel.
Chachamim was shining.
Chachamim Harishonim Tiknu V'Kadosh Al Yayin Beis HaKnesses K'di L'hoitzis Ha'orchim She'en Lam Yayin. Hashoysim Echadorim Asmuch Al Beis HaKnesses V'oichim Shom Yad HaKiddush Zeh. The early Chachamim, which means already in the times of the Gemara, were Parak Ari Pesachim. The Gemara discussed this in the last Parak in Pesachim. They're Masakin to Mekadesh in Shul because the Orchim would stay in Shul. They would sleep in rooms that were off the side of the Shul. And V'oichlim Sham Miyad HaKiddush. They would eat there right away after the Kiddush. Shari Kiddush Zelahem Hu B'Makim Seuda. Remember, Kiddush has to be Makim Seuda. We're going to learn that in a few semanim from now. Kiddush has to be Makim Seuda. And Eishayin Dalet, I believe. Eishayin Gimel. Eishayin Gimel, I think. So how was the Kiddush in Makim Seuda? Because they eat there. Shai Kiddush Zelahem Hu B'Makim Seuda Shv'shal Sh'ashriyat Tzibur Ha'omesh Kiddush Zeh Ha'yu Orchin Kvar B'Chadreihem V'shoymim Mishamas HaKiddush V'yotzim Bay. So they were in their.
The shul was open in such a way that the room are inside the shul, I guess.
Let's see if I think we're hearing some background noise over here. That good? How do I do that? When I put, I'm at the. I think you're the host. You could move David.
From you, find you could do it on.
I'm the host.
I see over here when I click the 3 dots on it, it doesn't show me the option I can mute.
You mute yourself, but
I texted him to mute.
Okay, it's by his computer.
Isn't that by his computer? We get to see a view of the room.
Let me log in now.
Okay. We could put the sound down on this thing. The sound on this
Everybody
computer.
else hears him.
Oh, all right. But there's no one else on. He's there tonight?
Yeah.
I don't see him.
Yeah, if you look at the bottom, there's like 4 dots. Show you how many people there and what.
So the Maisa is the Orchim are not hearing the Kiddush in Shul.
Right.
Because that would be a problem because in Shul they're not having the Suda.
Right.
Kiddush b'Makim Suda. What they do is look at that. So excellent.
Right outside the room.
What we should have is automatic mute, and people have to unmute.
Right.
So they would go to their rooms that are on the side of the shul.
Listen to the Kiddush.
And from there they would hear the Kiddush, and they would eat in their rooms. Have a Hatzibra in Yoitzim, but the Tzibra is not Yoitzim with this Kiddush.
Meaning the people that in the shul.
Af in the Skavnu Lotzis. Even they had a mind to be Yoitzim. Even Shein, Shoyman Yoitzim, and Mokim, Su'uda. In our days already means in the times of the Rishonim. They did not have guests sleeping next to the shul. They see me chavasam. Afa being still negin lekadish v'zakanas alayayin. The minig is to continue being mekadish alayayin. The fishat hakanas chachamim lebatla. It was not this battle. Afa bisha batla hatam shalagmoli tiknu. Even the tam is no longer here. The takana remains. They can see in the previous sim we discussed what was the whole why did the Chacham Misakin the Beracha Me'in Sheva after the Friday night. We don't have by Ma'ariv, since Ma'ariv started off as a Rishos, Chazal will never keveya a Chazaras Hashatz. However, we have a mini Chazaras Hashatz on just Lil Shabbos. Only Lil Shabbos, if a mini Chazaras Hashatz, and if you look at the bracha, you have Me'ein Sheva, you actually have Magen Aves B'dvari Mechayim Mesim, Magen Avram, Mechayim Mesim, Mechayim Mesim, Hakel HaKodesh, or HaMelech HaKodesh, right? So you have all the Lashonis of there, Kel Haidois, Hadain HaShalom, is Berchas Haidah, and some Shalom, you have it all there in this Me'ein Sheva. Why did they do it? Because they used to have the shuls outside the city, in the fields. And if someone had davened a longer Shemon Esrei, and everyone else would be leaving the shul, he'd have to walk back alone to the fields. It was not safe. So therefore, they instituted to say this Berchas Me'ein Sheva, this bracha, that everyone will be able to leave shul on time together. But now our shuls are in the city. There's no reason for this anymore. We still do it. Similar to that, we should still do it even the time is bottled. The takana is not bottled. However, Ashish Chokim Adonal Minigzeh, Shanogol Kadesh Besakaz Ashay Norchim. However, there are some Rishonim which argue this and say, no, once the time is bottled, the takana is bottled. V'chein is pasha and minig b'din is harbish of the Kadesh Besakaz, and that's taka the minig. Like that opinion in many countries, not to make the Kiddush in the shul, no archim. Michoel Makim Medinas Elon Ashkenaz Nagu Shenogu Boy. They are noig to still do Kiddush Beis HaKnesses. Ein Levat Lo HaMinig. Why? Ki Iker Kisvari Shoina. The Iker is like the first Shita that the time, even the time is bottled, the takana is not bottled. Chazal had other reasons why they were misakin things. Just because the tam hanigla disappeared, the tam hanitzla remains. So, Lamaisa.
Really not long ago in a young Minik Chabad have to be like, don't go nothing. People try to change different things. And then Ayom says with like Minik Chabad, stay strong. Don't change nothing.
Right. So Minik Ashkenaz Ad HaYoim is to make the kid in shul, and we were zeicha to have Rabbi Gottlieb, Mr. Gottlieb here, who moved to Eretz Yisrael. It was zeicha to make Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael, like we heard the other week. And he was the one in Borough Park in Beth Kel Shul that he would drink it as a child. And my what? Shem Remuna? That's what he said. That's what shul is that? 1452nd. Okay. It's still around?
It's not a building anymore.
So I also, when I was one time with learning these halachos, and I mentioned this in the Lagabi other dinim, Lagabi the tinnik,
right?
they give it to the child to drink. So it doesn't. I don't know if he just. Oh, he's just going to discuss it over here now. So we were learning these halachos, not in this simon. We're learning the other simon that discuss about giving child to his surim on Shabbos. And a guy in Koilel by me told me that his family. They have it in England. They daven in the Chabad. Most of the Chabad don't make their own shul. They daven in the Ashkenaz shuls, the United Synagogues there. They do their maftzayim and their shluchis as a base Chabad, but they don't necessarily make their own minyan. So he said that. Yeah, I also used to drink it in the shul
as a kid.
Yeah, as a kid, the kid loved it. Right, a little wine, the kid liked it.
Till today, the Yak is doing it.
Yeah.
And where Rabbi Shiner is the Rav.
They do it. Where is he, the Rav?
Your brother goes to speak there.
I used to, yeah. So in Borough Park, years ago. Okay, we're going to learn soon about drinking. Mitzvah Yan Shekazeh Shitnanu Hu Mishaloi V'lei Acher. There was one of the Gdei Hadir that the Maril that he would buy the mitzvah of being able to provide yayin for this kiddush. He didn't want anyone else to have a schos. He wanted the schos. So he held it was a schos. Some countries they sell it. It's one of the ways the shul earns revenue. Sell the schos. Many go'inim are miyased this minig of making kiddush in shul. We will not battle this minig.
They want to make it for brain.
Truth is, I think over here it's not referring to that minig. It said Harbi go'inim yizduhu. It's not referring to kiddush in shul, because kiddush in shul is from the Chachamim Rishonim, from the Gemara.
So that's it. So probably
What he means over here, he's referring to the minig.
They're buying.
Buying. That's what it is. Take a look inside the sources, but that's what it seems. Also, you can't drink from it. The Mekadesh is the Shliach Tzibur. Part of the Shliach Tzibur's thing is after davening he makes Kiddush. However, also Litim HaKoish in Yotze B'Kiddusah, he's not being Yotze, he's not eating a meal here. Also, no one is actually these days. But also Litim Klum Koidim Kiddush. You're not allowed to drink anything before Kiddush. Yatim mehakois l'kotin shigia l'chinuch. Give it to a child who reached the age of chinuch. So it was not levatala because you made the bracha for the cotton. You're mechanech a cotton. For chinuch, you're allowed to say a bracha for cotton. Help him make a bracha. Now, he has to be higil l'chinuch brachas, meaning he's the age where he could train him in saying brachas. Because other than that, otherwise, he there's no reason to say the bracha. He's not chayiv in the bracha b'chalal. Not a gil of the brachas. It's a little child that can't say a bracha. Now, why are you allowed to give it to the katan? L'chor is an isur loisachilum. You're not allowed to give a child isurim, feed, even though the child does on their own isurim. They're not your own child, or they're below they're not your own child because they're on the age of chinuch. You see a child's not your child doing an isur, you don't have to say anything. In a din, you don't have to say anything to the child. To the father, if it's Issa Deraisa, we have to tell off the father. That's why is he allowing his child to do so. Issa Derabanan, we don't have to tell off the father. So how are we allowed to give the child an Issa? Shemut lahachas akotan koidim kiddush bein shalayla ben shiyim osala neisei. She osala achili isvidayim o shamaychel os mitzaratz min kin treifach yetzba. Shamaychel mutter machmas atzmoi. Shezman os v'chil mutter lahachas akotan. Shemechil maktana bein mekporan fil akotan shebechshas akotan misana. It says here Kiddush. This is based on the Magen Avraham over here, that you're allowed to give a child to eat before Kiddush. There's no going to be mechanech the child not to eat before Kiddush. Child wants to eat, he's allowed to eat. Not only is allowed to, you're now allowed to say, oh, I want to be mechanech him, don't eat before Kiddush. If he wants to eat, you give him to eat. You're not allowed to give an Isser. That's only when the Michel's Osir be'etzem, like treif. But really, over here, the wine is mutter. You're allowed to drink wine. There's nothing treif about the wine. It's kosher wine. The problem is the time that's before Kiddush creates the Isser. That we're not noyig when it comes to a cotton. That's not considered the Isser loisachil. Loisachil meant to serve treifes, things that are also be'etzem. Things that only the time creates the Isser. And he brings a raya. And you have ketanim that are under bar mitzvah age. Let's say they're strong. They can fast.
No.
You're allowed to feed them on Yom Kippur, even there's no chashav sakon. Why not? The child says I'm strong. You know he's strong. The doctor says it's no problem. He can fast. No problem. The hayois that the Issa Yom Kippur is not a Michoel be'etzem. The Michoel is kosher. Just the Zman of Yom Kippur creates the Isser. So therefore, you're allowed to give them. Same thing over here. V'im ein katan b'sakneses yitim hamakadesh ba'atzmai oy adam acher v'yishte kashir shechiyav l'barach acher l'barach achein arvias. What happens? You have no child in the shul, and it's very possible a late Friday night. And usually in Ashkenaz they take in Shabbos early, but for some reason there's no child in shul. So then a Kaddish or someone else should drink a revius. Why? Because some say that is considered a Kiddush Makom Soda. She's Kiddush Makom Soda. She's Barbara Ein Gimel. If he has to in mind to be yoitz with his kiddush, otherwise you're not allowed to eat, drink before kiddush, because you're not being yoitz with this kiddush. Now you're drinking before kiddush. After became the also last of the kaddish base, the heights the ishte bottom base and any the kaddish ba'atzim because she's barasham. Even so, you are being yoitz with this kiddush, and you're drinking a full revius of the becher, and you're making a bracha achrein like efen. You can once again go home and make kiddush for your wife and children if they don't know how to make kiddush themselves, because that's the din of arvos. That even if you already yoitza mitzvah, you can do it again. For someone who wasn't yoitza, if they know how to make kiddush, like today when they're educated, and they went to Beis Yaakov and they went to Beis Rivka, then they have to make their own kiddush. Yeah.
Sometimes by the time I come home already.
People are Michoel Shabbos day. People are Michoel Shabbos day with this because they tie it's just a B'yli Priagafen. But it's not pashut. But I'm just saying that the Friday night, there's no excuse. The Olam is noig to be Michoel Friday day, Shabbos by day, and they'll come home even though by the Kiddush they make Kiddush, they'll make their family members again. It doesn't fit with this din. That only in Einim Yoidin Lakadish. We're not going to get into it now, because we will make Hashem later when we get to this day we could discuss it in Eishain Gimel. But some say, Moshe maybe said that, but they want a tiny that you're only saying a Bari Priagafi, you're not saying a Birchas Kiddush like by night. The Birchas Hanenin, so it's different.
Lamai said today when a man come late, you don't wait, you just make people do something.
They don't wait. Yeah, they make on their own. But what happens, thank you, what happens if... Are you okay?
Well,
So... I'm going to check in everybody.
Today most of the women not make it themselves.
Right. But the women have this thing in their head that they think it's the man's thing to make Kiddush.
Right.
It's a mistake. But it's very hard to be oiker this mistake. But they somehow think they have to stand there and hear the husband. And even if they already make Kiddush, the husband comes, they make believe like they didn't hear, and they stand next to the husband and they hear the Kiddush. It's some shtick, and I don't understand it. But it's not Kiddush Makasuda. But she already ate. She has to have Kiddush Makasuda. She doesn't have to wait for the husband to finish his Kiddush. She wants to buy Kiddush and she's panicking, getting all hungry. Let her take out a becher, make a Bari Priagafen, and then drink some grape juice and have some azaynis. Let her eat something. She doesn't. And the husband comes home. She stands there, Kilo. She's hearing again the Kiddush. Okay, that's a vibe and a shtick.
Not the loch.
No, it's called hergish. There's something called feelings. In Judaism, we have gefilte fish. We have feelings. Kishka. This is a feeling. You can't start up with the ladies' feelings, Not kedai. Okay, Rabbi say, no gulami b'shosh shivsim v'kadosh v'esakneses. Rishonim shizem moyel ayefas habrikayim. The minig is you should stand when this minig is done, even though you're not being yaitza. Nobody's being yaitza in the kiddush and the shul. And the Rishonim say that this helps, that you shouldn't be tired. You should have strong feet. You should be able to stand. Simin ayin reish.
Right?
They didn't want to write reish ayin because reish ayin is ra. They wrote ayin reish. Loimar mishnas b'memad likin oboy bei sifim. Noyegim loimar perek b'memad likin. The second parak, the entire second parak of the Masechah Shabbos, parak b'memad likin, is about which wicks you should light with, which you shouldn't light, which b'memad likin, b'memad likin, which oils you should light, which ones you shouldn't. If you sheish bedin hadlaka. And it also talks to the three things that you're supposed to remind your wife in the house Erev Shabbos? Did you light the candles yet? Did you take
Sa'aten,
Meiser?
Dikul Taneh.
Oh. V'hasvardim. You reading? You see what was reading over here? V'hasvardim. The bottom of Reish Chav Dalet, the last line. Over here, this way. V'hasvardim. Oimrim. You say koydem tfilas arvis. Yishaydei kriyas perek zeh yiskir hagimel dvarim shetzarech adam leimer v'yazir aleim. And he'll tell his household v'gam krishiyedu b'mem adlikin v'me'im adlikin v'zor lasses gain. They should also know the halachos. Remember, they made Shabbos early, so reading it before Ma'ariv was able to be helpful. Today it won't be helpful, but the minhag is they still read it. But you're reading it already when it's night. So they were not misaken after Ma'ariv because it's not going to help anymore. Oh, they have this minhag again that people should be able to go home at the same time, so they do after the davening. People don't come late to shul so late because you're not so busy, because you prepare everything on a Yom Tov like Shabbos. Yom Tov you can cook on Yom Tov. To hurry up. Have Simchas Yom Tov.
Ashkenazim doesn't say b'mem adlikin, no?
Yom Tov every Shabbos.
Huh?
Ashkenazim every Shabbos is Yom Tov.
You know Kegavna?
No. Kegavna, yeah. But the Madlikim, we don't say this mission.
You don't say.
No.
No, Chabad doesn't say.
Why?
What does Sfardim say?
Of course.
Yeah, sure. And Shiri.
I know it by heart.
No.
But I don't think any Chassidim say it.
No.
So when Litvisha say it,
It's printed
it's finished.
It's printed
Instead of Pagana.
Oh, it's printed.
Sure.
Instead of Pagana.
No, sure, not obligation, but by name adlikin.
I once came to
Rabbi Arizal doesn't say
Friday
it.
night.
To see what
There's a group from Sfarim from
the
Brazil.
Olaf Chassidim didn't do, and it's Rabbi comes from Arizal.
Sfarim from Brazil. I share about maybe 30, 40 of them. They still in the phone of 70. They came like maybe 10, 15 minutes before mention.
Sure.
And they start singing Shir Shirim, the Madlikim. It's like a whole.
When do they do Shir Hashirim in the Welt?
Before.
Then.
We say it before Mincha. I say it home. If I come early here, I say it here.
How long it takes you to say it?
5 minutes.
5 minutes on sure.
I know most of the people by heart.
No.
And it's in the Siddurim? You have it in the Siddurim?
The city they have
Yeah,
it.
it's hard, yeah.
שכן ממני שכל פיו כתבים דרך הבניין.
Then they sing.
It's a young Israel time.
Still then.
ספרדים אז.
Yeah.
Nothing
Im
better.
Kaimish Mekach Mesa Knesset Shel Kaddish Koidem Amidas Hamadlikin. And though remember the minhag over here, the Alter Rebbe says what they would say after Ma'ariv. Perek Hamadlikin. So what do Ashkenazim do? They do it after Ma'ariv or before Ma'ariv?
Before Ma'ariv, before Kabbalah Shabbos.
Yeah?
Of course.
Take a look. We have a Fabi in the
Kigabno. They say
What?
They say Memelikin instead of Kigabno. We say Kigabno.
So that section.
You look at Nusach Ashkenaz Siddur, they have Memelikin there.
I hear you.
What do you say?
It's even
Before-
before.
You see now where you could mute.
Before.
Before.
Oh, before Bacho?
No, but I'm not even like that. Not church.
Sheesh lahaktim Kiddush layim v'chol ma'ashavshir. So those the Alter Rebbe is discussing those that have a minhag to say it after Ma'ariv.
I know.
And the Medina's Eilim Choshen, I would assume that Ashkenazim do this.
It's the Kiddush afterlife.
Kiddush is after Ma'ariv, but Alter Rebbe said earlier that they also say Perek Madlikin after Ma'ariv.
After Ma'ariv.
Although he says Ma Te'elas Sheyisker because it's already after Ma'ariv, he said it helps that they save his Mishnayos and someone comes late to shul. So Lamaise says over here that then if you're doing this after Ma'ariv, like we didn't say, when should you position Kiddush? So Kiddush should be before Madlikin. Why? She lahaktim Kiddush to say Kiddush earlier and Perek Madlikin. Same thing when again Sfiras Omer is a discussion.
To do it as soon as possible.
I think you do. I have to look it up, but I see already in the bottom they're sending you the Sfiras Omer. What do you do first, Sfiras Omer or Kiddush in the shul? All right, what comes first? Okay, Ad Kan, Menegea the minig of making Kiddush in shul. Siman Reish Ayin Aleph. Dine Kiddush Shalayayin Oboy Lamed Sivim. Here is the starts the mamish the Dinah Kiddush itself. So we started off with Kiddush and Shul because that's the first thing you're hitting, and say the Halachos Shulchan Aruch is written in the order of the day. We start off with the Dinah Erev Shabbos. We talk about how you're supposed to put the pots on the fire on Shabbos, and covered and oinig, washing yourself and getting ready, and traveling on Erev Shabbos. And Amir Allah Akum that comes up Erev Shabbos, the work you do, you can set up with the goyim, lighting candles, and then we come on to and all the different things that you're allowed to light, not allowed when you come to Kiddush. So with Kiddush, you also start with the shul because that's the first thing you hit, not the Kiddush at home, the Kiddush in shul. Mitzvah same in Atayla Kaddish Yom Shabbos b'Dvarim. Shemazach Yom Shabbos l'Kash Shemazacheu Zechira Shabbat v'Kiddush. This language comes from the Rambam. It's a mitzvah in Torah from Aseres Hadibris to make holy, sanctify Shabbos with words b'Dvarim, by saying words of Shabbat v'Kiddush, praise and Kiddush on Shabbos. V'tzarich l'Zachreu b'Knisasei v'Yitziasei. B'Knisasei v'Kiddush Hayoim. Kiddush Hayoim doesn't mean the daytime Kiddush. It means the day, the Kiddush of the day. V'Yitziasei, the ending of Shabbos with Havdalah. V'Yeshem im Shavdalah eine ela medivrei Seifrim. U'min ha'Torah ein tzarich l'Zachreu ela b'Knisasei Bilvad. Divrei Seifrim midrabban min ha'Torah is only the beginning. So it's a machlokes if Havdalah is min ha'Torah or not. The Gemara has a drasha and learns out Havdalah. The question is that drasha in the Gemara is a drasha Gemara or is it a smachta? Unless the drasha Gemara, Havdalah is punk like Kiddush. Once that smachta comes out Kiddush is min ha'Torah and Havdalah is midrabban. Sebei ze tiknu chachamish et heizchira zu al koishel yayin ben kinsas v'yitziasi. That is midrabban. The already shayim that held it was deiraisa, but mostly shayim hold it's midrabban. Yayin. Now I want to point out to you that Akiva Eiger has an interesting discussion. Since min haTorah, you are yoytze kiddush by just words. It's not on a kois. Torah just says to remember Shabbos. It doesn't say on a kois.
Right.
So the kois midrabanan. So what happens when someone says on Erev Shabbos, he says good Shabbos? Maybe that's kiddush for him in Torah. It's a good Shabbos. He's saying how Shabbos is good. It's a good day. It's a good day, Shabbos. So Shaila also becomes, is that considered constitutes accepting Shabbos? When you make Kiddush, it's automatically Shabbos for you. If you say Baruch Hu, you make Kiddush. So saying good Shabbos, some people say a good Erev Shabbos. Coming close to the Shabbos, say a good Erev Shabbos. L'maisa, they already asked in the Akiva Eiger, I don't remember if it's the Mishabrura and his Bi'alacha, or others that asked that Lashon that Rambam is like the Alter Rebbe brings, Zechira Shevach v'Kiddush. So you said Zechira Shevach, you pray Shabbos saying good Shabbos, Shabbat Tova, but you do not say Kiddush. You do not say Shabbos is holy, Mekadesh HaShabbos. You do not say anything about the holiness of Shabbos. So the good Shabbos is missing that prat. This is a question that's asked on the Akiva Eiger. Akiva Eiger says Ulai yoytze kiddush min haTorah just by saying good Shabbos. Some want to say that when the Lubavitch minig is to say on the light the candles, they say Lahadik Neshel Shabbos Kodesh. They light the candles, they add in the word Kodesh. So they say the ladies say Shabbos Kodesh, they're Mekadesh Shabbos. I think only Skver is the only other community that has Shanusach. They say Lahadik Neshel Shabbos Kodesh. And Shulchan Aruch does not say that. The Rebbe himself does not say that. But the minig Beis Harav in Chabad, the minig of Admoirei Chabad was in their family to say Lahadik Neshel Shabbos Kodesh, and the Rebbe was mefars in that minig amongst Chassidim to say Lahadik Neshel Shabbos Kodesh, except when it's Shabbos and Yom Tiv, you don't say Lahadnesh Shabbos Kodesh v'Yom Tiv. You say Lahadnesh Shabbos v'Yom Tiv. You skip out the Kodesh. And I think that in Square they don't skip out the Kodesh. When it's Yom Tov and Shabbos, they still say
The word Kodesh.
Kodesh by Shabbos. Another shaila here, I'm just going to take you off on a little tangent. There's a clear Gemara in Psachas Psachim, Arabic Psachim, I think it's Afkuf Yuzayin. The Gemara says that there's a mitzvah to remember Yitzias, to say Yitzias Mitzrayim, Sechiras Mitzrayim by Kiddush. But they learned out the Mantiski saying Yitzias Mitzrayim, Es Yoim to Zachar, Es Yoim HaShabbos L'Kashi, Es Yoim Zera Shava. The Gemara says, and no one argues on this Gemara, he's supposed to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim in connection with Kiddush. Lamaisa, and our Kiddush does not say anything about Yitzias Mitzrayim.
Our Kiddush?
I'm sorry, Kiddush says. In davening, it doesn't say.
Davening.
But we have an issue over here because we're going to see now that the Alter Rebbe brings, based on the Magen Avraham, that you're Yoitze Kiddush Min HaTorah and Shemon Esrei. How could you be Yoitze Kiddush Min HaTorah? You don't mention Zeich Yitzias Mitzrayim. So in our Kiddush we say, Michoel, Matan Torah is connected to Ma'aseh Bereishis. That's why we say Zeichel Ma'aseh Bereishis. But for this Gemara teaches you also have to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim. So we say both. Zeichel Mitzrayim and Zeichel Ma'aseh Bereishis when we hold the kos. But in davening, we only say Zeichel Ma'aseh Bereishis. We don't mention that Zeichel Yitzias Mitzrayim. The shaila is on the Magen Avraham and the Alter Rebbe that they paskin that you're Yoitze B'Tfilah and HaTorah Kiddush. Now how could it be Yoitze? You didn't mention Yitzias Mitzrayim. Let's take a look. 5 lines from the bottom. Best to make Kiddush as soon as you get home. You left shul, it's still daylight because you made Shabbos early. For you, it's a Shabbos. ואחר הקידוש צריך לאכול גם כן מיד כשיהיה הקידוש המקום סעודה. ואם אין לי טוב, you have to eat right away. But you're not hungry. It's daylight. It's early. You're making Shabbos early. You're not hungry. You ate already. Have Shabbos. ואין לי טוב לאכול מיד יכול להנדו לקדש תאכל לילה כמה שירצה כשיאכל לתאכל. Why? I am pushing off the mitzvah and the mitzvah and the mufchar to do it right away. He says, you can rely on the fact that you already mentioned it in Shemon Esrei. Remember what we said in the beginning of Sebei, this is based on the Magen Avraham, that once that Min HaTorah, like we brought from the Rambam, you only Yoitza pure words. And in Shemon Esrei, since I said words, says the Magen Avraham, you Yoitza in Shemon Esrei. So since you're already Yoitza Min HaTorah, you only need to fulfill your Chiyuv D'Rabbanan Al Yayin. So in case when you're not hungry, and you're going to eat the meal, you're not going to have taiva, we're allowed to rely on the Kiddush Min HaTorah and feel and push off Kiddush till later, and not do the mitzvah and muchar to make Kiddush right away, in order you should eat the meal until. Until you're ready to eat the meal. Because, when you make it early, Shabbos early, you're not necessarily hungry because you just ate lunch.
How it says in time for into Kiddush, like what's the connection?
Excellent question. And we'll talk about it.
My question is, in the Haggadah, what did it say there? Before Ben Zoma, that when it's Yetziat Mitzrayim, only at night. Ad Sheba Ben Zoma, remember the...
yeah.
But Yom Tzvah.
No, it said...
No, before
Leilos, but in the Laila you have to do Yetziat Mitzrayim.
Yeah.
That's clear.
So we do that in the Vayomer. In Shema, that's what we say in the morning. By Shema, we say Vayomer, and at night. So in morning and night, we remember, because in Vayomer, we say, Ani Hashem Asher Tzei Mitzrayim. Now, getting back to our Shaila, two things. We have a Shaila I was asking before, and we have a Shaila Shmuel's asking. One Shaila is that what's Shaila this Alter Rebbe that you're Yoitze Tefillah, Kiddush and Tefillah, the Gemara Mefereshes in Parak Arif Psachim that you have a chiyuv to mention Zechiras Yitzrayim in Kiddush. Meila Kiddush on the Kois, on the Becher, the Yayin, you do say Zechiras Yitzrayim. But in Shemon Esrei, you don't. You only say Zeichel Ma'aser Bereish. You don't mention Yitzis Mitzrayim. So how you Yoitza Kiddush? Number two is Shmuley Shaila that Bechalal doesn't make any sense. What is the connection Bechalal between Yitzis Mitzrayim and Shabbos? We keep Shabbos, not do Yitzis Mitzrayim. We keep it because of Zeichel to Ma'aser Bereish. Hashem rested on the seventh day. What does it have to do with Yitzis Mitzrayim? So to answer your question first, there's a few explanations, and one of them is Toysa says over there on the spot that the word befarech, Vayividu is Yisrael befarech. They made them work in
hard work.
hard work. There's some type of a word for it.
Come.
Befarech, the word befarech in adbash. Befarech and adbash. Adbash, the adbash code is when you substitute the aleph, the first letter, the last aleph base. Aleph for the taf, the base for the shin, adbash, garadak. You keep on switching the letters with the next letter in the ending. That's one of the codes. It's a famous code. So the Tosfos talks about this code, and he says since farech, the word farech, if you do the atbash, it's vigal, vav gimel lamed. Vigal. What's the gematria of Vigal? Vav Gimel Lamed. Vav Gimel Lamed.
36.
39. Vav Gimel Lamed.
Oh, Vav Gimel.
Vav Gimel Lamed. 39.
9.
Lamed has malachas. So what were the mitzvah making the Yidden do in Mitzrayim? Malacha. They're making them work hard. They were making them do the Lamed has malachas for them. They're doing work for them. Befarech was a remes to the Lamdas Malachas. So the Eivishter gave the Yidden a day and said, I want you to remember that I took you out of Mitzrayim, that you no longer have to do all those works that you had to do for the Mitzrayim. So that's a Zeichel Yitzis Mitzrayim, what we see in Shabbos. Very geschmack of Pshat. And he Tosfos said that based what he heard from his Rebbe in the name of a Medrash. There are some other explanations out there. That's one of them. I heard the shame in the name of Rabbi Heller, the Michoel and Crown Heights, a pshat like this. Really, there is no connection between Yitzis and Mitzrayim and Shabbos and Kiddush. Elamai, the reason why you need to mention Zeichel Mitzrayim and Kiddush is because it's a chiyuv in the din of Chiyuv Yitzis Mitzrayim. And Bezar was saying before, there's a chiyuv to mention Yitzis Mitzrayim by Yom and Balayla. So when it came to Kiddush, so the Laila of Shabbos, Chachamim said, you're doing a mitzvah of Kiddush tonight. We were sticking in, we want you to remember Yitzis also b'shas that mitzvah. Not that there's intrinsically a connection, but just that Chazal said you should always remember Yitzis Mitzrayim. So now that we have this mitzvah Kiddush, we want also there you should stick in the Yitzis Mitzrayim. But it's a din in the Yitzis Mitzrayim, not a din in the Kiddush. Not a chiyuv from the Kiddush demands it. That's not Pashup Shat, but that's Al Kol Panim. The other Shaila, getting back to the first Shaila, is L'Poyel. It's clear, Chazal, no one is arguing that you have to mention Zeichel Mitzrayim and Kiddush. And Al Piza, how could it be that the Alter Rebbe and the Magen Avraham just said, what we just read, that you were Yotzim and HaTorah, Kiddush and Davening? You didn't mention Yitzis Mitzrayim and Davening. So Yitaka said Mekadosh HaShabbos, and he spoke how special Shabbos is, Zechira Shevach B'Kiddush. However, he did not mention Yitzis Mitzrayim. So the Bir Halacha and the Mishabura is bothered by this. Right, preceding the Mishabura, the Minchas Chinuch was very strongly bothered by this. And the Minchas Chinuch therefore held that the Magen Avraham was wrong. You're not Yoitza. You're not Yoitza. He wants to strongly argue to Magen Avraham, you're not Yoitza Kiddush in Shemon Esrei, and he wants to prove it from other Paskim. And he's very empathetic about it. And he says there's no doubt about it. And this is a major mistake. No one argues on this Gemara. It's clear, cut Gemara. You chayiv to mention Yitzrayim. You're not Yoitza Kiddush Shemon Esrei. But what should we do? That other Gedolei Poskim didn't hold that way. The Magen Avraham, the Alter Rebbe, and I think the Magen Avraham was based on an earlier Poskim, the Menachem Azariah Mipanoi, the Rema Mipanoi. So the Mishabura comes up with his own chap, but he's masking with a doichik. What he says is, we do mention Yitzis Mitzrayim. We just finished saying V'munah kol zois, V'kayim aleinu. We talk all about Yitzis Mitzrayim in that part. And we say, Baruch Atah Hashem, God Yisrael, Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim. So we mention it, and then we go start Shemona Esrei, and we start talking about Shabbos, Mekadosh Shabbos, we say how special Shabbos is. So we do mention Yitzis Mitzrayim in connection with Kiddush. You have a problem, Hashkivenu is in the middle. Hashkivenu, he says, Gula Richtehi, the Gemara says. The Gemara B'chlal asks that we have to have Smichas Gula L'Tfila. So how can we have Hashkivenu in between Gal Yisrael? In the morning we say Gal Yisrael, and we go right away to Shemona Esrei. But might if we don't, where's the Smichas Gula L'Tfila?
Yeah.
So he said that the Gemara says Hashkivenu is Gula Richta Dami. It's all one long hemshich from Gal Yisrael Hashkivenu, one long bracha.
They even say
Huh? The problem is, what about the first three brachas of Shemona Esrei? So it says the Mishabruda, possibly saying Shabbat of the Eibishter could be a hefsek. You be Mishabach the Eibishter. Could it be a hefsek in anything? But he says B'chol Zois, it's difficult, and therefore the Iker answer is that most probably this Gemara that says that you're supposed to remember Yitzis Mitzrayim and Kiddush is not midaraisa. It's only midrabanan. It's based on a Gzeir Shava. This Gzeir Shava is not an actual Gzeir Shava. It's what's called an asmachta. It's when the Chachamim find leaning in the pasuk for their words, but it's not midaraisa. It's only midrabanan. Therefore, you were Yitzis Kiddush Minat Torah and Tefillah, even though you didn't mention Yitzis Mitzrayim. But when you make Kiddush Alay Yayin, then you do mention Yitzis Mitzrayim. However, the Michoel Sof is not happy with all of this, and therefore he says better to not have in mind to be Yoitz and Tefillah. Better you should have in mind that your Kiddush should be done properly, Halachos, with Sechiras Yitzis and Mitzrayim, and Bechlal, that's what Chazal wanted, that you should do it that way. The other big problem is that Mishabura Bi'alacha has and other poskim have is that what's Pshat in this Magen Avraham and the Alter Rebbe? The din is that mitzvah srichis kavana. There's a machlokes in Chazal in a bunch of places whether mitzvah srichis kavana or not. Do they need kavana? They don't need kavana. So the psak is that when it comes to anything min HaTorah, they need kavana. Anything midrabanan, b'diavad, you rely that they don't need kavana. Yeah, but b'diavad, because the machlokes that by the rabbanan you need kavana. But the Raisa, they're all masculine kavana. So since Kiddush is a mitzvah in HaTorah, like we just read, mitzvah say min HaTorah, look how the Shema Shabbos v'dvarim. When you daven Shemona Esrei, did you have a mind to be yotze the mitzvah Kiddush? No one's thinking about Kiddush. You're Shemona Esrei. Saying Shemona Esrei, you're thinking, Hineni Mekayim mitzvah Kiddush, Aseh mitzvah shal Kiddush, Sheim Yuchim Kutsha B'richim, you don't say anything. Nothing. So you have no kavana. So what's pshat and Alter Rebbe Magen Avraham tell me Yoitz and Tefillah? The Shaila, big Shaila. But because of this Shaila and because of the Shaila of the Zeicha Yitzis Mitzrayim, that's not mentioned in Tefillah, so the Mishabura says, just have in mind not to be Yoitz and davening and do it Halachos. Now, it's not what the Alter Rebbe said. So if someone goes to the Mishabura, goes with the Mishaburu's sack, but the Alter Rebbe did say you are Yoitz and Shemona Esrei. We're going to have to say that how are you Yoitze during Kriya Shema? Every day when you daven in the morning, let's say you didn't say Shema before you daven in the middle, before Shemona Esrei, you're saying Shema. You're thinking, I'm here to Mekayim the mitzvah Kriya Shema, you're davening, you say Kriya Shema. That the Chayei Adam, because you know that this is part of this is Kriya Shema, is Minat Torah, even though you're not thinking it consciously now, it's implicit that this is the mitzvah that you have in kavanah. It's ki'ilu you have in kavanah. It's like by Tkiyah Shofar. If you had in mind the beginning that this is supposed to be for mitzvah, later on you weren't thinking. Like the Alter Rebbe says, what happens if you came to shul to hear Tkiyas, and then b'shas before the Tkiyas, you didn't think that you're doing this the mitzvah in Torah to be Yotzeh. You didn't have in mind anything. Just heard the Tkiyas as though you heard the sound. The Alter Rebbe Yotzeh. Why? That's the whole reason why you came to shul. So the whole reason why you're saying the Kriya Shema and the Tefillah is I want to be Yotzeh Mitzvah Kiddush, whether you thought about it or not, part of the Seder HaDvarim. We'll have to say some type of Torah that since Chazal put Kiddush in Shemona Esrei, you say Vayichulu, you say all the psukim there, so you're Yotzeh the Kiddush regardless. That's like Kilo implicit. It's shver. I don't have any good answer for this. It's a shver thing to understand how you Yotzeh without Kavanah. Because no one's thinking during Shemona Esrei thinking about Kiddush. Maybe they're thinking that they're going to get a home, they're looking forward to the Kiddush, but not thinking that now I'm being going to Kiddush by saying these words. And this is the big shaila, mitzvah srichas kavana. So those are the two major shailas on the Alter Rebbe Magen Avraham approach. Number one is, what happened to the Zayich? How can you say Yotze in Shemona Esrei? There's no Zeiches here. It's Mitzrayim, it's a clear Gemara. Second shaila is, how can you say Yotze in Shemona Esrei when no one has a mind to be Yotze? The Chassam Sofer has another approach. He writes over here on the Shulchan Aruch on the Magen Avraham. The Chassam Sofer says, "Yeah, Magen Avraham, you're right. You could be Yotzim in HaTorah in Shemona Esrei, but that's not the appropriate way to do the mitzvah, because the mitzvah really is supposed to be ala yayin. Chazal said, do the mitzvah in HaTorah ala yayin. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Do the package, do the min HaTorah ala yayin. You're trying to separate it. I'll do the min HaTorah and Shemona Esrei and the yayin later. That's not the way it's right to do the mitzvah. So b'feidish, have in mind, I am not being yoysa with the Kiddush in the Shemona Esrei, because I want to do the mitzvah kiddush the best way. The min HaTorah should be ala yayin.
Well, why
By the
do
way,
some?
the Dogam Maravava, which is written by the Noid of Yehuda, he has a beer Dogam Maravava on Shulchan Aruch. He writes in this Magen Avraham, he has another problem. If the man was already Yotze in Tefillah, and he's already min HaTorah Yotze, now his chiyuv is only chayiv midrabanan ala yayin. The women in the house are chayiv in Kiddush just like the men. Chayiv the same chiyuv. They didn't daven yet Ma'ariv necessarily. They're not makbid in Ma'ariv. They didn't daven Ma'ariv. Their chiyuv is min HaTorah. How are you? Your chiyuv is only midrabanan. Be part of someone who's Yotze min HaTorah. But the Dogam Rav accepted that Magen Avraham is correct, that you were Yotze in Shemona Esrei. You accept that premise. Most of the Achroinim accept that premise.
What about a raven?
Shiloh, how do you understand the Havan in it?
Only if you miscover not to go out.
What about Arvos? Yeah. So the Maid Yehuda brings up Arvos. You're Ariv. So why can't I do it? Who cares? Even if I already fulfilled the mitzvah entirely, even the mitzvah Rabbanan, I could say again, Kiddush to be Yoitzi, because Kol Yisrael Raven Zalazah. But then there's a problem that he brings up a rush. It says that are ladies Bechlal the Arvos or not? The ladies were Makabal. Were we Makabal Arvos that the ladies should do the mitzvahs? Maybe the men accepted for the other men. Well, who said that we accepted the Arvos to make sure the ladies keep the mitzvahs? What would be the difference? I didn't look into a lady, so I don't want to comment on it. But that led into a whole discussion about the women's relationship with Arvos. The Magen Avraham accepted the Magen Avraham's premise that you are Yotze in Tefillah, like the Chassam Sofer did and Alter Rebbe. Most Poskim did, right? But we do have the questions that the Chinuch and the Mishnah Berurah are raising on this sheet.
One lady could moitzi, another lady Kiddush.
Yes. L'maisa, we don't have any. Alter Rebbe never taught us any chiluk in Arvos.
I never saw on Friday night that ladies could make Kiddush. Moitzi.
Whenever you're there, you're making Kiddush, so. What do you mean? Your wife makes for the daughters maybe when she's home.
You're away.
My wife makes for the daughters when she's there. Well, to be the daughters. If they want to eat before the husband comes home, if you're going to be coming home an hour later and they're hungry, she can make Kiddush for the kids, and make Kiddush for everyone, and give them a shtickle cake or mazayin, whatever mazayin is, or drink a cup of grape juice for Revi'is. Kiddush makam suda.
We want your relatives to make Kiddush Shloch.
Right, Kiddush Shlochim, right? Why is her alone? She makes Kiddush for the whole shul.
Uncle Ed.
Reform, right?
No, for the family though. Family for sure.
Family for sure. Who knows what goes down in the
The
shul?
only time they make Kiddush together with us is on Pesach night. That's it.
Right.
They're holding the cup and make Kiddush together with us. That's the one thing. There's one mitzvah actually. It says that.
Gotta go to Ma'ariv. Are we gonna? I already daven Ma'ariv. I don't mind staying to help you. Help you with the minyan.
There's only one mitzvah that you cannot have kavanah.
We have not 9.
Exactly. Wait, which mitzvah?
Shechechad.
What?
What about
Never
making
mind, you can't
Kiddush?
be,
What about each person making Kiddush one by one, whereas the Ashkenazim, they do like the Baal Habayis does it? Why do we do that?
Who does it one by one?
Chabad and Chassidim, the kid, they're, bar mitzvah age. Yeah, Friday night.
Oh, Friday night to Chabad, there's a hiddur that everyone makes their own Kiddush.
Why?
I don't know. It's a good question. It's a hiddur. I don't know the reason for it.
What
Maybe
means
mitzvah
hitter? What does that
boy.
mean?
Maybe the idea is mitzvah boy yoisim b'shluchei. You should do it yourself, the mitzvah.
It's all Hasidim, all the Hasidim. After the bar mitzvah, they all make
Meaning
it.
dafka to make it
When I grew up,
Uh-huh.
I was bar mitzvah. I got a coach and I made it.
Which Hasidus were you in?
My father learned in business,
That's you want to text.
and he also
Right.
didn't. He didn't.
By the matala?
Yeah, he learned with him together. He was the same.
You learned to the matala daily?
I'll go outside to see.
When they were in yeshiva together.
Oh yeah, they were in shiva together. The matala were the same age.
The matala was. He used to. My father went in with the twiddle to the matala, but the matala got up for him.
Uh-huh.
And my father didn't wear triangle, didn't wear backature, he had the first.
Okay, thank you, Rabbi. Say everyone for joining.
And what about
As
making
usual.
Kiddush on Challah? Making Kiddush on Challah?
If you don't have what to make Kiddush on, you make in challah.
So what blessing do you say?
Motzi.
And you have in
Yeah,
mind
Motzi,
Kiddush and you have in mind Kiddush and Hamotzi?
Yes.
Okay. And then one last thing, if you should make Hamotzi for yourself or you go with the Balabais?
That's a good question. There's different customs in that. In Chabad, they make their own hamaitzi.
So can I put my hands on the Balabais at the same time, get up and
I mean that I meant to say they when they get their own slice, they make their own hamaitzi to themselves quietly.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just because inside a chashash that maybe there's hefsek until they got their piece of challah. But others don't. I'm just telling you that that's the meaning in Chabad.
So you're saying to opt myself out from the Kiddush from the Balabais or to include and also
Not the Kiddush, but the Bari Priyagofen. From the Bari Priyagofen and the Hamaitzi, you can make your own Bari Priyagofen. Let's say you heard Kiddush and you talked in between. You started schmoozing with your friend. You can still drink from the Kiddush. You just have to make a Bari Priyagofen again.
Yeah, I'm not talking, I understand. So I make my own Hagefen and there's only 2 pieces of challah. So I'm saying Amen to the Balabais or?
Yeah, then you can just say Amen and eat it. You don't have to make your own if it's just you and the balabais.
And I should put my
When
hands on
there's a larger crowd or a big family, so then people make their own hamaitzi when they get it because till they get the hamaitzi, maybe there might have been some sort of hefsek.
And for my
Again,
wife
there's
also?
various minhagim. I'm not being kiveh what to do.
Okay.
You can do.
Okay.
Not there, not there.
Thank you everyone for joining,
Thank you.
especially
Thank you.
David from Florida.
Oh, man. Beautiful
Hearing with
shear.
us is warm weather.
Thank you.
Oh, 80 degrees.
I hope they have the
83.
recording so I can go through it again. Thank
Maybe
you.
it's a little cooler now.
Thank you.
All right. Have a
But
beautiful.
we had good weather in New York also today. David, you said hello?
What was it today? What was it?
I'm not sure, but I think it was probably in the 50s. What was it today? In the 50s.
Terrific.
A very strange New York winter, let me tell you. We have 70? 27 degrees. 7? Oh boy. They say Friday night we're getting 7 degrees. The covered February.